We know the difference between someone who is reciting a story and someone who is telling us something from the heart.
Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who've turned their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbie Sluice, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started.
Hey everyone, I am so excited again to be here with an amazing giant manifester. I can't wait to introduce you to Diane Wyzga, and she actually has her own podcast as well and is an expert storyteller. But I'm going to give her complete bio here in that the arc of her professional career stretches from serving as a U.S. Navy nurse, corporate businesswoman, speaker, educator, lawyer, litigation consultant, podcaster, and storyteller. The other arc is that she is a woman who's backpacked across Europe, mountain climbed the Canadian Rockies, learned to fly a plane, walked 500 miles across Spain on the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage, and more. For 30 years, she helped professionals take their story from a message only they could hear in the publishing world to courtroom, hospitals, board meetings, the airwaves, and more. Stories that swayed juries, built markets, spread ideas, and changed things. Today, she helps women find the words they didn't know they had to tell, the most consequential story of their life, their origin story of how they got from there to here. Why? To confidently connect with, engage, and enliven their audience to action while transforming the lives of those they serve. When a woman learns to say, "Hear me, I know the truth," we need to pay attention because women's voices are creating new worlds we can thrive in as a community. Summoning the courage to say yes is the place where the story changes. That is a powerful, packed bio. Wow. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And it sounds even better when I hear you read it. I mean, the power of the spoken word is like music to our ears. So thank you for taking the time to share that with me and with all of us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're right. I get that too sometimes when I'm speaking and I get introduced, and I feel like just kind of dancing on the stage, like bippity boppity boo, like it just feels like sparkle, and I don't know about you, but I don't always take time to acknowledge all the things that I am and that I've done. And so one of the things that caught me by surprise, and that was so interesting, I was sharing with you that I have a recent client that had me host a retreat, was the Camino. So let's just dive right in there. I really love to hear about how you decided to do a 500 mile, so this is not kilometers, this is miles, walk, and how that impacted your life.
Well, I think it's actually 850 kilometers. So for those people who are trying to, figure it out, um, it's the most amazing thing, Debbie. The Camino de Santiago is the defining moment of my life. For all the things that I've done and for all the things I still hope to do, it is like BC and AC, before Camino and after Camino. And I believe I was called to do it. I had seen the movie The Way with Martin Sheen and never really gave it much thought. But in the space of the 6 months before I left, there were books falling off the shelves, there were people I was encountering, and it just became one of those things I knew I had to do. And so in the space of 6 months, I needed to find a house sitter because I knew I'd be gone for about 6 weeks, and I had 3 kitties, and I had to get my gear together because while I had some gear, I didn't have all the necessary gear to take with me. And then you have to figure out, where are you going to go and how you're going to get there, and getting the plane and the flight, and then just trying to book ahead to an albergue so that you've got a place to stay when you first get there. So there's a lot of detail. Then I smashed it all into 6 months and found a house. I mean, everything fell together. Even the house sitter who said yes and then canceled, and then someone else came into their place. It is like those mysterious mysteries we talk about, and yet are very real. And this is a trip that almost didn't happen. So I'm on the flight, and I'm going from John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California, to Newark, to Madrid, and I can see myself. I have a window seat, and I can see out to Spain. And we're getting ready. The pilot has put your things away. We're getting ready to land. And I'm looking out over the landscape, and I'm thinking, this is the stupidest idea I have ever had in my life. And I have had a lot of stupid ideas. In fact, I married one of them. But be that as it may, and I think, what 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 are you thinking, girl? There is no way. There is no way. So I decided right then that I was going to, when we landed, I was going to get off the plane. I was going to go down to baggage claim. I was going to pick up my mochila, my backpack, put it on, and find the next flight back home. I was done. I hadn't even started,
Wow.
and I was done. And I was done. And I had brought a small backpack on board with me with the usual little stuff in it. And one of the things that I had in there was a guidebook. And in the various pages of the guidebook, I had tucked notes and maybe little letters from family and friends, things of encouragement that I hadn't read. And as I was putting something into the backpack, I felt that book, and I felt the longest envelope, and I pulled it out. And it was a letter from a story gal pal of mine named Lorraine, who had stopped by the night before to give me some rocks to carry to the cruise to Faro. And I was really pissed at her because I had like a dark 30 wake up call, and she said she was going to be there and said she was going to be there, and here it is close to midnight. I'm like, what the? And I open up this letter from her, and the first words are, "Well done." And I'm looking at this and thinking, what? And as if she's reading my mind, she says, "Is this the power of a conversation? The power of a good story?" She says, "I bet you're wondering why I said, 'well done,' and you've not even begun." And she said, "Because no matter what happens from here on out, you showed up. And that, my friend, is well done." And I thought to myself, well, okay, how can I stop now? And it's exactly what I needed. And so I got off the plane, and I picked up my backpack, and I found my way out of the airport. And I learned some Spanish, but not everything. And so I'm carrying a little picture of the bus that I needed to get on to get from Madrid, from the airport across town to the train station, because from the train station I was going to Pamplona. And then from Pamplona, I was taking a bus all the way over to France. And that's where the Camino actually begins. It's in Saint Jean Pied de Port in France, and you begin there and walk over the Pyrenees, leave France, and come into Spain. And it took me 5 weeks, 500 miles. I lost 15 pounds, even though I drank beer and ate a lot of pasta. But it was it was the walk of a lifetime, and it wasn't pleasant. I mean, there were times when it was pleasant, but when I read my journal, I realize that I did a lot of complaining about everything, and how everything hurt, and my everything was too heavy, and it rained, and it was cold, and people snored, but that was only part of it. That was only part of it. I think a big part of what was going on were the conversations I was having with myself, and the fact that I felt like I made a really lousy pilgrim because other people were, finding signs, and voices were coming from burning bushes and whatnot. And I ain't seeing nothing. What is it? But the people that I met people from 29 different countries. I saw things that I never expected to see. I walked, I don't know, 15, 20 miles a day. And it ended up being a pilgrimage of the heart. So, to bring this to a close, every year at the same time, so I left on the 17th of September and I came back on the 1st of November. So every year in that space of time, I take out my journal, I take out the guidebook, and I retrace my steps. And each year that I do that, I more deeply appreciate what that walk, what that pilgrimage really meant to me. And the complaining is something that everyone does. And in fact, they do say that in the beginning, your heart, your body's all out of sync, and then as you get that underway, your mind's all out of sync, and a little bit further along, you get your body and your mind and your heart all together, harmonized, and you begin to walk. And it really is the most extraordinary experience to be with yourself in silence, except for the voices in your head, and to meet up with so many other people. Some people didn't speak English. I remember walking for a while with an opera singer, a man from Korea. I didn't speak Korean, but he sang O Solamino, and I was able to understand because he was singing it in Italian. So just the most, it reminds me of something that you say on your podcast, that these things are not fairy tales. These dreams that we have, even if something just drops in our lap, really can come true. And that one did for me. So thanks for asking about the Camino Peregrina.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And, makes me think about the true manifestation is manifesting a new version of yourself. That's the ultimate manifestation. It's not about manifesting stuff, even though that happens along the way. And it sounds like the Camino really sped that up for you, in that you made a decision, and then through this challenge that you gave to yourself in terms of your desire and your discipline, your attitude, like just so much was just like put in a pressure cooker that you couldn't help but come out different on the other side.
Your years of working in human development are definitely showing up, because you're right. I've not heard it explained that way, and yet it's exactly as you say. It's like being crystallized. I did accomplish a lot in that time, and the memory of it, the experience of it has carried over so that it's never far from me. And then my screensaver are all pictures of the Camino. It is, as I said, the defining moment in my life, or a series of defining moments. And yet
Yeah.
I was not going to do it, but for the encouragement of someone who did not, or maybe she did expect, I don't know, who might not have expected how powerful her words were. And I had since told her, about that story. So yeah, you don't cross the ocean by standing on the shore. You really just have to get and go. Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah.
makes me giggle that she put rocks in your pocket. Who does that with a pilgrim? Like, you've
Oh,
already got enough stuff to carry, and then to put
well,
rocks in your pockets.
well, there's a story there. So, the Camino de Santiago has been walked for forever. In fact, there are 3 or 4 characters in the Canterbury Tales who talk about walking it. And along the way, closer to the end, as you're getting towards Santiago, there is a place called the Cruz de Ferro, and you can look it up. It's the Iron Cross, and it is a ginormous pile of stones. I mean, it's huge, huge, huge. And you can only imagine how far down into the ground it goes. And so, what you do as a pilgrim, as a peregrina, is you bring a rock and it's to represent something that you want to throw away, your fear of poverty, your fear of whatever, and you leave it there. And I had mentioned to people that if they wanted me to leave a rock there on their behalf, then I'd be happy to carry it. And I ended up with 2 pounds of rocks.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what?
And here,
Oh,
here it is. You're supposed to be paying attention to your backpack, and you don't want to take any more than a certain
no.
percentage of your body weight. And
Oh
so
my goodness. That's
when I hurled those rocks, and I did it one at a time, and I remembered each person and what they wanted to let go of. But I tell you, when I let go of that 2 pounds of rocks, thank God.
no kidding. Talk about
So
like really literal freedom. Oh wow. So
yeah,
so I'm curious, just my last question about this is would you do it again?
absolutely, absolutely. And I've been looking at the Camino del Norte, which is beautiful, and it goes over the northern coast of Spain, and then you can drop down and go into Santiago. And what's been holding me back is I had kitties, and I walked the last one to the Rainbow Bridge on December 1st. So right now
Oh,
I'm free to do that, and I've
yeah,
already been talking
yeah,
to a friend of mine about doing the Norte, what that would take. But if I could do anything, I mean, if I could just, in fact, there were people on so many of the Europeans, this is what they do. They walk out their front door and then they go because so many of them are connected to the various caminos that are there. They just leave. And that's what I would like to do. I would just leave and start walking because there are so many beautiful
right,
places to
right.
walk in the world. Yeah, to be a pilgrim and
Wonderful.
relying on the kindness of strangers. Yes. So that's on the bucket list.
So amazing, or as we say, the vision board.
That's exactly it. Yes, it is on my vision board for, yeah, it's there right along with the word
Wonderful.
ease. Hmm. Yeah.
I was just, you read my mind. So I was going to say the symbolism of throwing away words, but then also embracing words. And to my delight, we have the same word this year. Like, isn't that synchronicity? Like, because I have worked with many, many, many people doing this power word exercise for the last number of years, and no one has
Yes.
ever had that word. And here we are, and we have the same. So I would love if you could share a bit about your story about your dad and sort of the inspiration for this word and
Oh,
where you see this carrying you in 2024.
my dad used to say something that really irritated me or set my teeth on edge, as some people might say. And it was, Diane, you can just ease into the day. And I wanted to just know because I'm the oldest of 7 children and I'm the oldest daughter, and anyone who's like that or is in that position knows that you're doing and working and being and the idea that I could just ease into the day was so annoying to me. And he passed in 2015. We became a lot closer over the course of the years before his passing. And I kept remembering something that he had said to me. It was one Easter weekend. My mom had already predeceased him. And we were trying to get the house ready because there were Polish traditions and food and cleaning and people and da 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 da. And he was sitting at the kitchen table and he said, "Come sit down with me a little bit." And I said, "Dad, I can't. There's this and this and this and this and this." And so I didn't. And so between those two memories, and I do talk to him a lot, especially when I'm walking. Between those two memories, I realized that he was right, that we're running like hamsters on a wheel and we don't have to, that we really can ease into our lives. And the image that I have is going like a river, and not like a big churning, rapids filled river, but like a calm river. We can go like a river. And even if we hit the rapids and we're in our boat, we can navigate, we can paddle, we can get around the rocks. But meanwhile, we are going like a river. We are going with the flow of that river. And in that flow, we are conceding to the universe, which is not surrender. Conceding is an agreement. I see that you've got a plan, an idea, a place, and I'm willing to go along with you. And that's huge learning for me because I'm not in charge. Well, except in my family. So that's kind of how it came together, the memory of my father and how important it was to him that we learned a lesson about how to live well in life.
Yeah, love that. And it's interesting that you share that story. My father is still alive. My mom passed 17 years ago, but as a little girl, and I have very high energy, and I was often
Me
told to
too.
relax, just
Mm-hmm.
relax. And my dad even still says it to me, and I know he means it well, but I just want to choke him. Like, this is me relaxed, okay? I'm like, I'm relaxed. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
And I realized that when you talked about flow and you talk about, what makes me think about is the universal laws, and that when I'm in that kind of energy, it can also seem very chaotic. And it can also seem that it's forced or I'm pushing. And
Yeah.
so I love the
Mm-hmm.
idea. So relax triggers me. Like, so I'm very impressed that you could actually take the word that potentially where I couldn't adopt the word relax, but I thought ease. Ease
Ease.
has a similar feel because it's easy. And
Yes.
that's how I want to be, in that state of not non-movement, not that I'm just still, completely still, but even if I'm still with my thoughts, like you were, like you're still walking, but you
Mm-hmm.
were quiet, like you're in your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, but you were still moving ahead. So, yeah, thank you for sharing your story. It makes me think about the connection to mine. And
Yes,
that is your power.
absolutely.
And yeah, and so tell us a little bit more about your reason for storytelling and how, like, you said that you've actually swayed and it's impacted in courtrooms and all these places. So can you talk about the importance of storytelling, but the personal story as well?
How much time have you got? um,
You just go ahead.
so I'm going to say something that people might disagree with, which is that this is a fact to me. It's a fact that no one can teach you how to be a storyteller, but there are people who can teach you to teach yourself to be a storyteller. And the reason I say that is because story is organic. It's like wine. It's alive. It can follow you home, it can sit at your table, it can sleep in your bed. We know the difference between someone who is reciting a story and someone who is telling us something from the heart. And I know you have a long relationship with Jack Canfield. I imagine part of that might have started because you were drawn to the way in which he shared his stories. And so to
Yes.
me, stories are heartfelt. They don't have to be all emotional and girly and whatnot, but by saying that they're heartfelt, I mean that they come from a place of vulnerability. So when I shared the story about Lorraine and being on the plane, that story still that story still gets to me. It still sticks right here. And it doesn't mean that you have to, get all teary-eyed, but it does mean storyteller telling does mean that there is something inside. The story wants to be told, and we need to be honoring the story that wants to be told. So I came to storytelling decades ago, and I found uses for it in in healthcare and in law and in business. I taught story. And what I discovered is that people know, they really know the story they want to tell. They just need somebody to listen it out of them. And so one of my very best mentors had said, "Did you ever realize that you're a story doula? You're just midwifing stories out of people."
I love that. Love that.
Oh, catch, here it comes. And yet there's there's truth to it. There's really truth to it, because how many times do we get listened to? I mean, there's so much noise. But when I get to hold the space for someone to listen the story out of them, it's empowering to them, because now they're speaking their story in their own words, in their own voice. And that, to me, is the way in which we engage with another. That's how we connect with each other. And if needs be, this is how we influence, if we need to influence an audience. But more importantly, by recognizing the power of story, the music of the spoken word, and how important it is for us to use our voice, we end up transforming the lives of those we serve. So, for example, Martin Luther King, his "I Have a Dream" speech. If you read it on paper, it sounds very nice. You know, it's a good idea. But when you hear him deliver, "I have a dream," that comes to life in a way. It leaps off the paper, and people listening, their socks roll up and down. The power of a heartfelt story, artfully told, is unlike any other power that we have. And I say this in particular to women because I too am an incest survivor. And I learned early on that to have a voice doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to listen to it, that you're going to get a chance to use it. And so as I grew up, as I realized what my background was, as I did the work, as we're supposed to do to get clear of that, I realized that the theme that runs through my life is pushing back on injustice. And part of that is opening up our voices so that we are seen and heard and understood and listened to. And the work of storytelling does involve an archaeological dig on ourselves. We have to find that river that runs through our lives. And in my case, that river is pushing back on injustice. And when we connect to that, we get to your who, which, thank you, Simon Sinek, precedes your why. Once you know your who, that informs your why. And now you're in sync, as you are, Debbie, with what you do, why you do it, what's it for, who's it for, why does it matter? I don't know how you found your way to what you do, but it shows up. Your who shows up in your why. How's that?
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your courageous story. And one of the things that I personally struggled with, and I have some of my clients as well, is sharing the story and knowing that it could impact others.
Yeah.
So, the name of my company is Dare to Declare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about declaring your vision, but also declaring your truth, which can also have to do with past, but then present, and then declaring it as though it is, which is your future, which is the vision. And Yeah, in all of those, there's tension and there's some vulnerability. So, especially if you've had trauma like you had,
Mhm.
like I've had,
Mhm.
and then so cultivating that story. So, I'm going to leave that there because I think what I'd love for people to do is to reach out to you because this is what you do is really support them. As you said,
Mhm.
how did you say that about teaching people how to
Here's
be
the
able to tell
fact.
their story?
No one can
Pardon?
teach you how to be a storyteller, but there are
Right.
people who can teach you to teach yourself to be a
Teach yourself. Right.
storyteller, and that's me.
Right. Right. And I would love for people to reach out to you, to connect
Thank
with
you.
you. I think you are an amazing person and just so glad that our paths have crossed. Thanks for being here, Diane. It's been wonderful. And I look forward to continuing our relationship as colleagues and friends. And I wish you so much goodness as you continue to impact the world with what you do. Bye, everybody.
Today, we've delved into the realm of manifesting giants, exploring the power of declaring our desires to the universe with unapologetic boldness. But before we bid adieu, I have a little something special to share with all of you dreamers out there. Introducing the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and online DIY Vision Board course, your ticket to manifesting greatness in style. Picture this: flipping through glossy pages filled with inspiring images, empowering quotes, and step-by-step guides to help you create the vision board of your dreams. Whether you're yearning for that spacious condo with a view or a love that sets your soul on fire, our magazine is here to guide you every step of the way. Dive deep into the art of manifesting with our exclusive online DIY vision board course. Led by manifesting expert, yes, yours truly, and seasoned dreamers, this course will teach you the ins and outs of creating a vision board that speaks to your heart and soul. And here's the best part: all of this is available to you for just $97. That's right, for less than the price of a fancy dinner, you can invest in your dreams and embark on a journey of manifesting magic like never before. So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of the manifesting giants and dare to declare your wildest dreams to the universe. Head over to our website, debbiesluice.com, and grab your copy of the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and enroll in our online DIY Vision Board course today. Until next time, keep dreaming big and daring to declare, because in the world of manifesting, the sky's the limit.